Every DIY pool build has challenges, but this part, the decking and the retaining wall, I tell you, it pushed me to my limits. We had to regrade a hill, build multiple level retaining walls, stabilize sandy soil, and install thousands of pounds of travertine, all while working against a diagonal slope. This was the most complex and expensive phase of the entire pool project, but it transformed everything.
Hey, it's Scott from Texas DIY Coach. Today I'm going to talk about this massive retaining wall and decking build. We regraded, we put the walls in, 2 levels of travertine, and more. Let's get into it.
You remember, my pool started as an overdig. We had to essentially dig a hole for the pool bigger than the actual pool shell. This was because the sand would just collapse if we dug it out exactly to the plans. This overdig would keep the walls stable during the steel, plumbing, and gunite phases, but it also created a huge stockpile of sand. I used LPZ Excavation, owner Chuy Lopez and his crew, to dig the pool. After the shell was complete, that same crew came back and moved the sand around the gunite to regrade the site. LPZ basically redistributed that huge sand pile to give us a working plane. That was the only way to build a stable footings and lay out the retaining walls. You see, you don't want loose sand under any structural work. This level of precision demands that you use laser levels and reference stakes to set the elevations. Every inch counts, because this yard slopes diagonally across the pool. Now, once the grading was done by LPZ, a separate contract crew came in to set the wall footings that would serve as the foundation for the entire deck. That's when the real work began. Once the regrading was done, it was time to set the foundations for the retaining walls. But because the pool sat in sand, we couldn't just risk driving a concrete truck anywhere near it. The weight alone would have buried that truck down to the axles. So instead, the crew dug down just deep enough to set the wall foundation, then built the forms and laid the rebar by hand. Every section was mixed and poured on site, one batch at a time, using a small mixer and buckets. It was slow, gritty work, but it made the footings rock solid and gave us the stability we needed for everything that came next. With the footings cured, we started stacking cinder block, course by course, to turn the plans into walls. Across the back of the pool, the wall began at 5 blocks high, and it stepped all the way down to 2. Because the yard slopes diagonally, the height changed constantly. Every course needed a new check of the level. We reinforced every core with vertical rebar, and then we filled those cores with concrete. We couldn't pump the concrete here, remember the sand. So everything was mixed and poured by hand, batch by batch. Across the front of the pool, the wall rose from just a single block to 5 as the grade sloped down. This changing geometry defined how we tied the whole deck together. This also included integrating 2 sets of stairs across the back and the stairs that went down the front. And we also ran conduit for future outlets and lights as we stacked the blocks. You want to do your utility work as you go. Retrofitting later is a real headache. What looked like a simple stack of blocks at first became a complex ring of a structure. Stepped heights, integrated utilities, and cores of concrete that now act like reinforced columns. With the walls up, we could focus on stabilizing the deck base for the travertine. That next step made the difference between pretty and permanent. Once I had all the walls in place, it was time to start stabilizing the ground, and this part was critical. Because on my property, the ground was made up of sand that went about 4 feet deep, and we had to build some kind of stability on top of that sand. So the contractor came up with a formula, and this formula included bringing in a lot of rock. With his formula, he was going to take a layer of fabric and then add a layer of rock and then another layer of fabric and another layer of rock, and then use a compactor to compact each layer tight. This was all about creating long-term stability. Every tap of that compactor mattered. Once we had the base set, we had a rock-solid foundation for the travertine decking. Once the base was locked in, it was time for the most precise part of the build, the travertine. The contractor started by laying a border tile around the pool. This border matched the coping so that the whole deck flowed as one. Between the border tiles and the pool coping, each travertine tile was set in a French pattern. But you can imagine with the freeform pool, that meant hundreds of custom cuts. Each piece had to fit in perfectly. The masons worked stone by stone, spreading the mortar, setting the stones, tapping it in, and checking the level over and over. Everything had to be sloped just right so that the water drained away from the pool and not into it. Finally, the contractor capped the retaining wall behind the pool with the matching travertine to pull the whole design together. What looked like a simple surface took more than 8 weeks of precision and patience. The craftsmanship that turns a pool deck into something permanent and something beautiful. With the travertine underway, it was time to build out the heart of the system, the equipment pad. This is where everything comes together. Pipes, electrical, control board, everything. So we framed out a 12 by 20 equipment and storage pad. This wasn't just going to be a place for pumps and filters. It had to support future upgrades, electrical, and storage. We added reinforcement and poured a thick, level slab. A solid pad means quieter equipment, better drainage, and longer lifespan. Now, because this pool sits in a gentle diagonal slope, we had to pour a series of sidewalk steps leading up to the deck. There's like 3 or 4 elevation changes, each one formed, poured, and leveled by hand. We also ran every piece of conduit we'd need: lighting, outlets, future pergola power, automation lines, water out to the pergola. Because once the concrete goes in, this is your only shot to get it right. Once the tile is in and the concrete cured, the entire project finally had a backbone. This is where the whole system comes to life. So after months of dirt, concrete, stone, and sweat, the pool build finally started to look like something magical. The retaining walls were complete. From 5 blocks high down to 2, every section tied the slope of the yard into a single unified structure. Each step, each corner, each cap was hand cut and hand set, and it shows. And the decking, that was a craft of its own. Thousands of pounds of travertine, every piece cut to match the freeform curves of the pool. 8 weeks of dust, stone, and precision. The equipment pad and conduit were in place, the arteries and the veins of the entire system. From here on out, everything becomes more technical and a lot more fun. But we're not finished, we're just getting started. As the pool may have bones and structure and the foundation of a real backyard oasis, we still gotta make it look beautiful on the inside. So in the next episode, we'll start bringing this pool to life by bringing in the plaster. In the meantime, if you're thinking about building your own pool, hey, check out the links down below. They will get you started, and if you use my coupon code, you'll save some money. Remember, motivation is everything.